As I move into the judgment phase, I how does one, if God, the Creator, the Father, and He said that if again using the Word of God, saying that maybe you're not Jesus, but maybe you're not, maybe you're just a saint, right? The body of Jesus, and He says on your ascent to heaven and sanctification. You're walking these stairs up to heaven, and you get to a level, a step, and God says, "Oh, we're preparing the judgment stage, or you get to judge the world, individuals and countries and governments and what have you. You indeed get to judge." Right? Where do you, how do you judge? By what measure do you indeed judge? Do you start off by, okay, yeah, you think about, I told God about that, when He indeed said I could judge my family, my immediate earthly family, that what measure do you trying to get it right? There's different paradigms. I told God I want to be serious with what you give me, the power that you will to me, that I want to take the job serious, and I don't want to be an Oprah with it. Indeed, oh, you get salvation, you get salvation, you get salvation, and then to fill heaven up with demons that in fact hate God. Would heaven really be heaven if indeed you let everyone in heaven? So I would look for who does love God, and by what measure, would you know if they love God? So a lot of different issues. You see that the all good family, we're supposed to maybe in Satan's eyes be the joke of the world, the all good family being so demonized. And you look at Joseph, you see Joseph was supposed to be the favorite. He was the youngest, and his brothers sold him into slavery. Well, if Joseph's story was indeed that he turned against God, would his family have been saved? His whole rationale when he came into power, and when they were before him, that they had to be a certain way, they had to be demonized, they had to be evil to me for my story. Thus, I don't blame them for the evil that they did indeed to me, as it was used for God's glory. But again, if Joseph would have been evil, then in fact would not his family have perished as being evil? But you can, does that guarantee that those of a household that are evil to the Christian in that household, that indeed that they're justified in doing evil? There's a number of different paradigms that I ask God for again. At the present moment, I've judged my earthly mother in the sense that she is a part of the Joseph family, that she has sacrificed for me way more than any other, even though that indeed she has done a lot of things that the Allgood family, or I, had to endure from the Allgood family. I was wondering, they got this Kenny Rogers and You Decorate My Life. They put that on there, and my question was, okay, Kenny Rogers is dead. I judge Kenny Rogers, right? How do I judge him justly? And was that song You Decorate My Life, was that for, or was it a godly song in his heart of hearts? Was he singing that to the Creator God? Was he loving God? You decorate my life. Was he singing to a demon, a woman that had a pretty temple that was evil in nature? Was he singing that song to a demon? Well, you see that there's many paradigms. That the thief on the cross, right? He was a thief, right? A murderer, in the sense that you broke one area of the law, and then indeed you broke it all. You're a murderer too, and not just a thief, but a rapist, a murderer, and a thief. But when he was on that cross, paying his life for his treachery against the Christian God, the Jewish God, whatever you want, same. Then, in fact, he had a change. He had a moment that he looked at Jesus and said, "Look, I deserve this. You don't. You're innocent." In that moment, Jesus saw salvation. Indeed, that he see, the thief was going to the cross. Indeed, he was a guilty bastard, evil. He was a murderer, a thief. But at that moment on the cross, when he had God's ear, he changed his eternity in that one moment. Well, it's, most people don't have that. You don't. The very last moment for a lifetime of stealing and killing against God. And what I want to fill heaven up with people that hate God, but in my training with God, that in fact I was talking about, like my earthly family, that they had to be demonic and thuggy, and then it's like, well, Kevin, you're judging yourself. You got to remember God, the Father. Yeah. And it's like, oh, well, then I got a little tiny bit nervous, and then in fact, God, I believe the Creator, says that you blew the test out. You blew it out immensely. That in fact you didn't go with your own wrath to judge people. You didn't say, well, Kenny Rogers or Joe Blow, in fact, I have this vendetta against him. I want him to burn in the deepest of fires. But in fact, I went and said, Creator, God, what is it that what you like and don't like? What is it? What standard that, what, I literally asked him, I said, what does it mean to love God? What does it mean to love God? Then I thought, well, if you would die for God, right, over and over, at least in spirit, that in fact you put your life on the line, that indeed you could be killed because you stood by the Christian God time and time again, that in fact maybe that's the definition of love. And okay, then I have to weigh in, okay, by my standard, that what I did, going righteously against a tyrannical Obama government, risking my life over and over and over and over and over and over again. Many nights I thought that if I indeed fell asleep, I would get attacked in the night and chopped up in many pieces if I did not submit to Satan. Well, is my standard too high for everybody, that in fact they would have to go through such, they would have to willingly walk death every night and stand faithfully by God? I think about Mercedes, like, oh, would she do that for me? Okay, maybe my standard of that would be a little high. That would she, night after night after night, stand by me? That, in fact, that she could be chopped up in little pieces. Oh, the judgment phase is the body of work. What's people's body of work today? And a lot of people, oh, I did good here, I did good here. But when we go into their minds and their hearts, the good they think they've done was political gain. It was for self-gain. And in fact, did they selflessly, behind closed doors, do that which is right to glorify God, to be selfless, to do it for God without looking good in politics, without expecting someone to pay you back, without trying to look good, to get something from it. You say your works will be put in the fire, and you can proclaim, well, I fed the children, or I did this and that. And well, you got paid at your job. You were really doing it for a paycheck, right? You weren't going to do your job to help the poor, but you were just simply, your motive when the fire goes on you, that in fact you are doing it simply for a paycheck and not doing it because if you would have got your paycheck, then you wouldn't have shown up to work. The fire of God will show the works of man, and what can withstand the fire of God but the actual things that you did selflessly for God, with a pure heart, working on to the Lord. I have to think about more about judgment on